Well, Mitch, appreciate you taking some time out. I'd like to talk about your book, My Life in a Thousand Houses, and pretty much documents all your successes and most importantly your failures, and it paints a real picture of real
There's a
estate
lot more
investing.
failures than successes, I think. It should be like a book on what not to do.
What not to do. Well, you know, the book title says Failing Forward to Financial Freedom, and I think it's real important today to paint a realistic picture of today's real estate investing temperatures, because the gurus don't do that, and they make it sound, you know, give me $15,000 and I'll promise you'll make it back in 2 months, 3 months, and we know that to not be the case in this instance. So why don't you go ahead and tell me what inspired you to write this book to begin with?
Well, first of all, a lot of people, they want to know how I did it, or what did I do, and that's such a huge subject to sit, you know, I want to give people, I'll tell them what they're looking for, but it takes so much time, you know, and people over and over and over have asked me, and then they've asked me to mentor them and stuff, and I don't make a very good mentor because I'm too
Busy.
nice. I'm too nice, and if they fail, you know, I'll end up giving them all their money back because I just can't stand to see people lose their money.
Right.
And so I started out just to write a book of stories, like all the different deals that I've done. You know, this deal made money, this deal lost money, this deal was funny, this one was sad.
Right.
Just all these different stories. And I got to the end of the stories, and I had about 30 stories. There's 18 stories in this book at the end. And but the stories, they needed to have a perspective, like who's telling this story and where did he come from.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to go back and kind of document how an unlikely person, me, without a Harvard graduate certificate or diploma or just a high school diploma and a lot of work ethic, figured out how to buy 1,000 houses. And I actually questioned myself, how did I figure it out? So I started to go back and kind of retrace my steps.
But you become very vulnerable in this book, and you lay yourself out pretty much bare and naked to the world, and sharing some really deep emotions, you know, talking about, you know, the dynamics of your family, which was a great dynamic, you know, speaking from somebody who didn't know who his father was, and growing up kind of left me a little envious that you had the picture perfect family.
I did.
But then, I mean, but the tragedy of your brother's suicide and how that affected you and how you were able to cope and continue to deal with it. It really surprised me that you left yourself that vulnerable.
Well, that's part of what I wanted to get across. You know, real estate investing is not easy, and life isn't easy. And when you get both those things, a passionate endeavor that you're trying to accomplish, whether it be real estate or anything else, and then life happening in the middle, we are in for some hard times sometimes. And I think that's, I knew what I thought the book was about when I wrote it, but I'm hearing back what people are telling me the book is about. And it's about struggling and finding your way through with life's adversities and everything that goes on. We don't write our goals today. This year I'm gonna build buy 50 houses, and then I'm gonna add 110 mini storage units, and then I'm gonna overcome the death of my brother, and then I'm gonna whatever. We never figure in.
We're talking about the personal tragedy of your brother.
Yeah, about being naked in the book. Like I said, I knew what I thought the book was about.
Mm-hmm.
But what's coming back to me, what people are telling me that they're getting out of the book is that it's just an inspirational story of how to mitigate life's ups and downs. It's like the glories of having a successful business and making all the right decisions, and then the parts when it's downer, it's not good, it's a bummer, you know, things didn't go the way I planned. Along with life's wrenches that get thrown in the gears all the time. Mm-hmm. So I was really scared when I got the book in my hands and I started handing it to people. I was really scared because I didn't know what they would think about it, because I pretty much just told everything. Mm-hmm. About everything around me, my whole atmosphere, the whole lay of the land, everything. And some of that's not very pretty. I mean, I had failed relationships, I had all this stuff going on, the death of my brother, just different things.
Well, you know, in a sense, you end up mentoring somebody, because they say that, you know, if you want what somebody has, you do what you do, and you act, and you follow in their footsteps of the person that you want to be like. And so you kind of you give us a glimpse of what you were thinking, your thought processes, and some of the things that you did that help you overcome some of the adversities, like constantly reading motivational, inspirational books like Think and Grow Rich, The Science of the Mind, I think is one of the ones that you
Psycho-Cybernetics.
Right, different things like that. So what are some of the takeaways that you took away from those tapes and those books that you applied to your life?
Well, different books, of course, had different things, but I mean, all of these books came to me at a time when I was ready to learn from them. You know, I could have read that book years before, and it would have just went right over my head. It wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
When I found Think and Grow Rich, it answered. It said something to me that I really needed to hear. It said that success can come from anywhere, anytime, any race, any educational background, anything. So I was right in the running. You know, I was starting to count myself out. You know, and this book comes back and tells me, you know, no, you're not out of the running. You're still there. Psycho-Cybernetics, super book, and anyone in the world should read it. I mean, I would have been better served to have read it a long time before, but basically just saying that little thing that we do, visualization and reading those goals every day, there's a reason why that works in your mind. There's a reason why in POW camps the Hanoi Jane plays over and over and over that you're a piece of crud, because sooner or later your mind can't stop it.
Right.
It only knows what it hears.
Right.
And so I just started to choose and learn from that book to start to choose what I'm letting myself hear. And then the most important thing, the most critical thing to gate is your own self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? Are you looking in the mirror going, oh no, or I'm a loser, or I can never do it, or it's not me? Or are you looking in the mirror and telling yourself you can? Because honestly, whatever that message is that you're sending, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
And so you got to learn to gate that message, and if it's not a positive message, you have to change that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I liked about your book as well was that it wasn't a get rich quick. This is, you know, you follow these steps and you're going to make $1 million type of deal. You know, the book spans, I think, a decade of your life, of your challenges where, I mean, you weren't homeless, but basically you were, because you were working for...
I was self-induced homeless. I mean, I didn't have to not have a home, but
right.
I picked this. I picked to get
life on the road
to
get where you were, and that's an interesting point, is that a lot of people don't realize that when you wanted to focus in on business and you want to, whether it be real estate investing or any other type of endeavor that you want to do, if you want to be the best at your job, that there's a certain level of sacrifices that need to be made in order to achieve success in this job, and you have to define what those sacrifices are going to be and ask yourself, are you willing to make it? Because then you had a new family, brand new, and then you were on the road again right away, which really surprised me, because knowing you, it would seem like you would do the opposite, having the family and staying with your family, but you chose to temporarily...
But at one point in my life when I felt like I hit rock bottom, I mean, I did, you know, lost relationships, didn't have a family other than my mother and father and my brother. But I mean, I didn't have the family that I was, my own family, and I pretty much was broke. I just made a commitment that I was never going to go backwards again. And so when I met my future wife-to-be, I mean, we had long conversations about that. This is what I was going to do. I mean, that I was going to stay out on the road until I could come back and not have to worry about how I was going to eat.
Would she be your future wife if she wasn't supportive of your ideals?
No. No. I mean, sad to say, but I mean, you know, I was prepared to be an island. Right. And if you didn't want to go with me down this path, I was perfectly prepared to live with whatever the consequences were.
So it's important that the people that are around you are supportive and at least feeding the fuel or the fire of your dreams.
They didn't have to agree with me, but they could not verbally disagree with me. I mean, you know, if you didn't agree with me, then just be there and don't worry about it. But if you, at one point in the book I said, you know, everybody in my life was either in or they were out. And if they had trouble making up their mind, then I made up their mind for them. They were out. Right. Because I'm going this direction, and I'm going to need all the positive and everything that I can think of to get there. It's going to take everything I can muster. And I don't need anyone telling me or doubting or anything.